Hi everyone, Stuart here coming to you from the virtual Benedetti sessions. Welcome to this first tutorial video for intermediate double basses. I'm Stuart and I'm going to be your tutor for the next 3 weeks. I'm so excited to have lots of fun with you guys and make lots of amazing music. Now just before we get into this video, I would thoroughly recommend that you click the link in the description of this video. It will take you to our warm-up videos, which are really good at getting our bodies all set for playing our instrument. Now in this first tutorial video, we're going to go through all 3 pieces of music and have a look at a few corners and a few things to focus on in our practice. And we're going to start with the Warlock. Maticians is the 6th movement of Peter Warlock's Capriole Suite. It's quite a fast and furious piece of music, and Maticians actually means sword dance, and you can almost hear the swords kind of clashing in the air with the music being so violent. It's quite short, lasting about 1 or 2 minutes, but there's still a couple of tricky corners for the double bass. So if you go and get your instrument, and we can talk about some of those areas to look at. So one of the challenges we meet in the Maticians is the bowing, and more specifically this down, up, up figure, where we have a down bow on the crotchet or quarter note, and then 2 up bows on the quavers or 8th notes. Now the first 2 lines, this bow stroke happens a lot, so it's worth spending a little bit of time to get it right. Now I have both a French bow and a German bow with me, and we'll talk about the technique involved with both, but I'm going to start by talking about the French bow. So with the French bow, we want to really think about a nice smooth down bow, and then for the 2 ups, we're really flicking with our index finger, with our other fingers supporting, and a little flick from the wrist as well. But our index finger is really the one that's helping us pick and flick these notes off the string. You can pick any note to practice this. I'm going to use an F natural, and just try really slowly a couple of down, up, down, up. Ready. Now obviously when we play the piece, it will go a little bit faster than that, but it's important that we start slowly so that we can learn this technique with our hands before we add the speed. Now for the German bow, it's quite similar but a little bit different in that for the German bow, just pop my French away, we're thinking more of it coming from the hand and the wrist for the 2 up bows, kind of flicking up the way. So I'm going to do the same thing on an F natural, super slowly. And it's important to get a bounce in the quaver of the 8th notes with both French bow and German bow, because when we add speed, it has to have a nice light touch like this. Great, let's look at another challenge. Another great way to get ready for Maticians is to look at your F major scale. Our F major scale happens entirely in half position. And that would be a great way to familiarise yourself with some of the notes that we're going to be encountering. Just on that subject, remember there's a couple of tricky accidentals. So 4 bars after B we have a G flat, but don't panic, it's just the same as an F sharp. It would be great also if you can ask your double bass teacher, whoever helps you out, to familiarise yourself with 3rd position. They can help you and point out where 3rd position is, because at the end of the 3rd line, when we have our C natural and then our A flat, it would be great for you to know where 3rd position is so you can find those notes accurately. So the second piece we're going to talk about is something completely different. This is Vaughan Williams' piece, Fantasia on a Theme by Thomas Tallis. And unlike the Maticians, it is this still, serene, beautiful piece for string orchestra. Now this presents a whole different set of challenges for the double bass. So let's talk about a few of them now. So the Tallis has lots of quiet playing, which is quite difficult for double basses. The very opening bar, we are pianissimo, molto sostenuto. So really thinking about how we make that pianissimo sound. Think about moving the bow closer to the fingerboard and thinking about how much hair we're using. Maybe we want to turn our bow and use a little bit less hair to produce a much quieter sound. Ask your teacher for advice on this and experiment with your own double bass to see what works best. The talus also asks us to do quiet pizzicato. Now, every double bass is different, so it's up to you to experiment on your instrument and find whereabouts the best quiet pizzicato lives. It might be down here, it might be up here, it might be somewhere in the middle. But try and find that sound. Now, our first entry is marked piano molto pesante, so heavy, and I don't think that means we want it to be thudding, but it's certainly we want it to not be falling forward and not too bright a sound. So look up and down your instrument, try plucking everywhere, even down here if you want to, but find the place that makes the best sound. Later in the piece, at letter C, we have a lot of string crossings that we have to do whilst keeping a smooth, sustained sound. And this can be quite tricky on the double bass. So as a little bit of preparation, again, just using a nice simple open strings exercise will really help you prepare for this. So just moving between two strings. And you can obviously progress that on to moving across all four strings. And one of the keys to smooth string crossing is to keep the bow moving and have our arm moving in a nice smooth fluid motion. The third and final piece that we're going to be working on is Paganini's Caprice number 24, which has been arranged for the Benedetti Foundation by the Ayoub sisters. Now, this piece is one of the most well-known pieces of music in the world, and they've done a really cool arrangement of it. Now, this double bass part is hard and has quite a few tricky bits, so let's take a look at them now. In the theme of the Paganini, the basses have a lot of short, spiky rhythm, like this. And it would really help to prepare for the sectional by doing some work on this. To be successful, we need to use a short amount of bow as possible, and a bit similar to our up-up bow stroke in the Warlock, we're using our fingers, and that index finger again for the French bow players is really leading the way. And it can sort of change direction really quickly, a little flick of the hand. Same for German bow. Similar to the Warlock, is coming a little bit from our wrist, but also from our fingers that are on the stick, and making sure that it's nice and active. Great. In the first variation of the Paganini, the double basses have this figure quite a lot. Now, in order to prepare well for this, you need to really make sure you know exactly where that stopped A is on the E string, because it's really tricky to use the open A for that moment. So make sure, ask your teacher for help to point out exactly where that A is to make this bit a lot easier. In the fifth variation of the Paganini, the double bass part rhythm looks pretty tricky, but don't worry, it's not as hard as it looks. The music's really slow, and if we take a bar like 96 and just loop it around to get used to that rhythm, have a little listen. It goes 1 and 2 and. So as you can hear, once you get into the groove and into the feel of it, you'll get used to it. And a lot of the rest of the complicated looking rhythms just involve that rhythm I just played. Okay guys, so we've gone through all three of our pieces, looked at a few corners here and there, and got some ideas of ways that we can prepare for the rest of this week and for the sessions going forward. Now, all three of our pieces are as different as one another, and every single piece has a unique story behind it. Now, it's really important that we keep that in our mind and we really think about that imaginative side of it. Now, at the Benedetti sessions, we're going to have tons of stuff about storyboarding and imaginative work, but I want you, when you're working with your double bass, to always have that at the forefront of your mind. So if you're practicing the Warlock, you're thinking about those swords clashing in the air. If you're working on the talus, how to create that sense of serenity and stillness. It's a really important part of music making, and it's one of the hardest things to do as well. In your practice, I want you to be open to mistakes. At the Benedetti Foundation, we love mistakes. I've made quite a few mistakes today already, and I've tried to learn from every single one of them, and that's something I would encourage you to do as well. So definitely don't beat yourself up. We love mistakes. If you are finding something in your practice a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult, then please seek help from your instrumental teacher. They are your biggest source of knowledge and guidance right now. Also, we're going to be playing our instruments quite a lot in the next few weeks, so it's important that we take care of our bodies. Now, in the warm-up videos, I've put some stretches for our backs and our shoulders, which will be really important for keeping your body in working shape whilst you're practicing. And it is important that we don't over-practice. If you're playing away and you're sort of feeling a bit sore, a few aches and pains, take some time away from the instrument. In fact, that leads me on nicely to say it would be a great thing to do to help you prepare to spend some time away from the double bass, but with your music and listening to the pieces that we're going to be playing. That way you can familiarise yourself with how the double bass part fits in with the rest of the instruments that are going to be playing. Another thing about practice, we'd love to see little clips of you practicing. So if you could send your clips or post them online with the hashtag Benedetti Sessions, we would absolutely love that. And to see you working hard would be great. It's important that we stay calm and we stay relaxed and nice and focused whilst we're working as well. No self-doubt. This is going to be the first video. There's going to be some more later this week, and then we have our sectional on Friday, which I've already said and I am super excited about. So just before I say goodbye, remember, keep it simple, break things down, slow things down, and most importantly, enjoy all those mistakes that you make. Bye bye.